You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Adler and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 621. It is a Patreon exclusive where I'm going to be talking about why the galaxy needs Ben Solo. All right, so I've been out, probably the best part of 3 weeks now doing some stuff I'll get to here in a second. And while I was gone, there was some news that broke on Ben Solo. And so, if you know me and you know this show, I was not going to allow this just to simply slip by and not have a say on it. So I'm glad to be back behind the microphone and make this the first episode that I've got. Before I get into all that, I have to say thank you first and foremost to all of our Patreon supporters and everyone that's really supporting the show. To be honest, like I said in that last episode, I thought folks would drop or cancel subscriptions, which I would totally get and totally understand given that, half the show kind of left. Quite the opposite actually happened. I don't think we had anybody cancel. Everyone stayed. There was someone who came on, and I'll get to them in just a second, who pledged a new amount, like just brand new subscriber, and then had other people that upped their amounts. And so it's been a very humbling experience, of course, doing the show and just having the support that you guys give all the time. But to be honest, I'm just thrilled that there is still an audience for this show. Yes, it's going to be a little bit different, and some of the things that we're going to be doing may seem a little bit different, but for the most part, I think the culture is still there. The character of the show is still going to exist as it has. And I'm glad that we've got so many supporters and so many people that are backing the show even now. So thank you so much for everybody's support and for all of those contributions. But I also want to say thank you to some very special folks here. I actually want to call out a few folks here as we do normally in every show. I'm not going to be rolling. This is an audio only show, so I don't have an opportunity to roll the credits. So I'm actually going to do a roll call of a number of other folks that we normally don't call out on the show, but it's appropriate given this is audio only. So thank you to our This Is the Way members, starting with Jeff Englehart, Amber Elstead, Jamie McDonald, Kayla Garcia, Michael Lederer, Christopher Gassler, John Pitaris, Matt Davidson, Luminara Sky, Daniel War, Dale Erdman, Music Train, Claire McKenvany, Jeremy Reese, Mr. Pink, and Michael Draco. So thank you guys so much. And are now part of the tribe members: Dante, Mike, Danny P, Riss Bayless, Daz Davies, Jackson Abbott, Alex, Sharkman Dan, Uncle Leon, Josh C, Jacob, Reader Reborn. I've got a Brad Feeling, and Paisley Rosengren, who is our newest member. Paisley, thank you so much for joining. She just joined that, now part of the tribe member. And then finally, our top tier, our Delusions of Grandeur tier, Steve, Rob, and now this is Rod Racing. Thank you again, all of you, so much for your pledge, your continued support, and everything that your pledges are going to bring to the show going forward. So, okay, a couple things about what's going on with the show. So I've mentioned, if you've been checking your email, I posted something here recently where I kind of gave some insights into what's been going on with me and where I've been what I've been doing, that kind of thing. But then I also teased some of the stuff that I've got planned. And the long and short of it is, first, we've got Visions. There's 9 episodes or whatever that came out from that. I've already worked on show notes for just about all of them. Really exciting stuff. I really enjoyed Volume 3, and I'm looking forward to actually talking about each one of those episodes as well. So that's coming up here in the very short near future, probably next week once I get back from my final camping trip, which is this weekend. But then on top of that, I've actually had a chance to talk to Lauren, and we've agreed that we're going to come back and actually do a full breakdown of Master and Apprentice by Adam Christopher. So this is the book that takes place immediately after Revenge of the Sith, and it's all about Anakin Skywalker and Vader at that point, but just all the struggles. It's an incredible book. We were both very excited about it, given what Adam Christopher has done in the past, and we're excited to kind of bring that. So that'll be towards probably mid to late this month, November, if we can get it out, or at least start on it. If we can't because of the holidays or something, then it'll probably be that first week of December and on into December. So look for that. That's going to be fun to have Lauren back on the show talking about that book in particular, because again, it is so good. And then I've got a number of guests that I've got waiting in the wings. There's people here that you guys are familiar with, voices that you'll hear, faces that you'll see that are familiar. I've got some folks that have never been on the show before, but they're friends of mine or in other podcast shows that know something about Star Wars. And so I'm excited to bring them on. But one in particular is one of my dear good friends who is a bona fide rocket scientist. He works for NASA. And I thought it'd be fun to bring him to talk about the science of Star Wars. In fact, I even asked him already his question. I already asked him, I wanted an answer from him on how he felt about the 12 parsecs thing. And he gave me 3 answers, sort of. So he's a great person, fun to talk to, huge Star Wars fan. He's got some really great stories of growing up, especially when episode 1 launched, or episode 4 launched for us, I guess. So anyways, that's coming as well. But I've got a number of guests that are still kind of, again, just queued up, waiting in the wings. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to actually sit here and talk with other folks and kind of change the style of the show just temporarily. So looking forward to all that. Hope you guys are as well. All right, let's get into the main topic, which is why the galaxy needs Ben Solo. And that is really just a play on why the world needs Superman, which was a Lois Lane quote from the Brandon Routh Superman movie that came out a number of years ago. And it's kind of, I had actually written something at one point about this topic a number of years ago. It was after The Rise of Skywalker and how I felt robbed of not being able to get Ben Solo. I mean, he's a character that I've really enjoyed. I've always enjoyed him. I'm getting my fix for him right now in Legacy of Vader, which has been a great comic. We're 10 issues in. So just another thing I need to come and bring some more content to. So I'll definitely be getting into that. But there's been some really good stuff happening there. But Ben Solo is a character that I feel like a lot of us went into that final movie and really enjoying Kylo Ren himself, but then giving us Ben Solo for such a brief amount of time with only one line of dialogue, which was ouch. And, seeing them together and, giving his life and just all that stuff that went into that was really heartbreaking to not feel like we were robbed. Like we'd like to, I wanted to see more of what it would look like had he lived on. And with that, that's certainly something we've talked about before on the show, the fact that, yeah, he could come back, but what does atonement look like, right? Just because he's been redeemed, at least in the eyes of somebody like Rey or in the Force or whoever, still doesn't absolve him of all the horrible things that he did when he was a Kylo Ren, similar to what we have talked about many times with Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker. So being able to not see what that would look like felt like, we got shorted, or at least I felt like I was shorted in The Rise of Skywalker. So it's an intriguing topic. And for anybody that's not aware of what happened, I'm going to kind of recap what exactly went down and why this show has come about. So recently, Adam Driver he's out and about talking about, he's got a movie coming out. I forget what it is right at the top of my head. I probably should have checked into that, but he's got something coming out. And he was talking to the AP, the Associated Press, and here's his quote. He says, I always was interested in doing another Star Wars, says Driver, who starred as Kylo Ren in the trilogy kicked off by The Force Awakens. I had been talking about doing another one since 2021. Kathleen had reached out. I always said, with a great director and a great story, I'd be there in a second. I loved that character and loved playing him. Now, I'll pause right there because this is undisputable, right? I think when he was out talking about the character throughout all 3 of the movies, he was very vocal about how much he enjoyed the character. I mean, Adam Driver is the actor's actor. He is very passionate about acting. He does a lot of great work, charity work for other actors, veterans. He is someone who really loves the art of it all. And a lot of that comes through in his character portrayals. If you've seen he's got a very wide range, which is kind of astounding given how incredibly huge this guy is. And, the fact that he's not had like this whole life of acting like, you would expect the biggest movie stars, but in every role, he brings something to that role that's so unique and so, it certainly highlights, his performance. And he's always getting accolades for this, of course, for all of his acting. But the fact that he was interested in this role to begin with, yes, it's Star Wars and it's going to, kick off his career. And there was a lot of reasons why he would do that. But there is undeniably something in the character itself that was, resonated with him, and certainly resonated with all of us as we saw it, right? Just having that conflict and, being tempted to go the light and the dark, riding that line, and, all the stuff that Abrams was talking about, how he was going to have this kind of reverse role of Anakin Skywalker, where he never really did go to the good side. He actually went to the bad side. And of course, all that changed by the time we get to The Rise of Skywalker, but it was never in dispute whether or not he loved playing this character. And he brought so much to the character. Even in that third movie, when he didn't have much dialogue, he still brought different levels and dimensions to the character. It felt like a natural continuation or evolution of that character, even though bits and pieces were missing. So that's not something I ever really thought was, anybody would ever challenge. For me, I think in trying to read the bones or in between the lines of what he was talking about, I kind of always assumed that he was more like Harrison Ford, and that, hey, I've done my time. It was a great character. The writing was awesome and I really enjoyed it. But I mean, he's moved on to so many other things, and he's got pretty much, the world wide open to him in terms of what he wants or what he can take on as far as roles go. So I just assumed that he was done with this character and probably would never come back, especially after how he was treated. Well, I wouldn't say how he was treated, but certainly the treatment that his character got in The Rise of Skywalker. And so this was kind of a little surprising to me, maybe not for everybody. Again, this was only just my take and my read. So I think first and foremost, that was kind of interesting to hear that he'd always thought about coming back or loved the character and would be there to play it in a second, as long as it had a great actor or great director and great story. Okay, to go back to the quote now, where he was talking about this. So that's what he said. A little bit later, it mentions that he actually took a concept to Soderbergh about a film that would take place after The Rise of Skywalker. From there, Soderbergh and Rebecca Blunt outlined a story that the group then pitched to Kennedy and Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni. So they got a chance to see this pitch in the story. They were interested, so the filmmakers then pulled in Scott Burns to write the script. So they actually wrote a script for this, which is kind of crazy to think about how far this went down the creative process. Driver calls the result, quote, one of the coolest effing scripts I had ever been a part of. Then he went on to say, we presented the script to Lucasfilm. They loved the idea. They totally understood our angle and why we were doing it. This is Driver talking. We took it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, and they said no. They didn't see how Ben Solo was alive, and that was that. Again, the idea that not only did he have this great concept, he pairs up with arguably one of the best directors we've got right now in Soderbergh, and then they take this to, they get somebody to actually give it a treatment. It got put in front of a lot of the people you would expect. Carrie Beck, who, as we called out on this show probably almost a year ago or earlier this year, is likely going to be the replacement for Kathleen Kennedy. Pure speculation, but that's what we've been kind of banking for. But he takes it in front of Carrie Beck. He takes it in front of Kennedy, Dave Filoni. So the creators at Lucasfilm are like, hell yeah, let's do this. Let's create this movie. It sounds great. We get it. And then he takes this to Disney, for lack of a better, word, for Bob Iger and Alan Bergman. And they say no. But what's really kind of nuts and crazy is that they, quote, didn't see how Ben Solo was alive. Like, yeah, I mean, have you not watched freaking Star Wars? Like, how do you not see this? It just doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel like that was really, I mean, I get that's probably the answer they gave him, but my goodness, especially in Star Wars and especially in this day and time, when did we start drawing a line in the sand about when characters die? And I'll get into this in a second about whether or not, should we be having all these characters come back to life? And what does that do? Does it dilute the storyline, the potential for the effects that it has when that character passes? I mean, all that's legitimate discussion and talk. But to say that you can't see how he would have come back, given that this is the world of Star Wars and we have so many ways that characters have come back or can live on or persist through death, is just mind-blowing. So it doesn't really add up for me. It doesn't make sense. Maybe it's just from a purely financial perspective or strategic perspective, they were thinking we're done with, that trilogy, or we're done with those movies, and we really want to refocus our efforts on, the next batch or the next iteration and not a continuation kind of thing. So that's really disheartening. But the idea of the movie was, it was going to be called The Hunt for Ben Solo. And then he goes on to talk about how, because it's no more that he can finally talk about it, which, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of speculation as to why this has suddenly come up. And I've heard, I'll just get into the whole Deadpool thing, right? Where back at one point when the idea for a Deadpool movie was, kind of dead, you had somebody like Ryan Reynolds out there trying to, stoke the flames and put the bug in everybody's ear about, oh, wouldn't this be cool? I'd make a great Deadpool. And there was like video shot and scripts were written and all that stuff. And finally, Marvel either gave in or finally just said, okay, yeah, let's do it, because, it was something that we thought about doing, but now we've got somebody who's honestly championing it. And so there's been a lot of comparisons as to whether or not Adam Driver is trying to do the same thing. I don't know that he is. Like, on one hand, it would be really cool if he was, but at the same time, I just don't know that was the case. I mean, certainly the fandom wants it, and it's blown up into a lot. If you've not been on social media here in the last 2-3 weeks, you're completely missing out. I mean, there's everything from billboards that people are paying money for. There's lots of more fanfic that's been written. There was a ton before all of this from the Raylos, right? But now there's even more people out there going out and writing these scripts and stories, or coming up with, their ideas as to how this would actually play out. There's, tons of social media, deep fake videos. I saw someone just even today here on November 6th, almost 2.5 weeks after this news broke, where somebody actually made a comic book panel and labeled it as, quote, the Legacy of Vader, the final page in Legacy of Vader issue number 10, which is not the case. If number 10 comes out today, that's not the last page of it, but it was intriguing because it would look like, oh my God, Rey is, there, and she sees Ben Solo in a tank with a mask on. And so, I mean, it's just really gotten out of hand. It got out of hand. It's probably calmed down a little bit, but I mean, there's people out there still talking about it, and rightfully so. Again, a lot of it is probably being driven by Raylos, and that's fine. I consider myself one of those, and I'd love to see this, but there are a lot of other people out there that just want Ben Solo back, because it is a very intriguing idea to see and understand what that would look like had he lived. There's another thing that came out here. Let me see who said this one here. This was this might have been Soderbergh himself. He said, for the record, this is on social media that he posted. This was not an interview, but he said on social media, for the record, I did not enjoy lying about the existence of the hunt for Ben Solo, posted the filmmaker on Blue Sky, but it really did need to remain a secret until now. In a follow-up post, he then said, also, in the aftermath of the hunt for Ben Solo situation, I asked Kathleen Kennedy if Lucasfilm had ever turned down a finished movie script for green light to Disney and had it rejected. She said no, this was the first time. So again, think about that. Never before had Lucasfilm given someone a finished movie script, given Disney a finished movie script, and Disney said, no, we're not going to do it. That's just, I don't know, man. That's really kind of nuts and mind-blowing again. I mean, it feels like it would have been a slam dunk, especially you've got everybody backing it, right? From the main actor, the director that wants to do it. You've got producers with Carrie Beck, Kathleen Kennedy. You've got the head of Lucasfilm. You've got the creative director and Dave Filoni, all going to Disney and saying, look, we have this finished product. We just need the money and need you to say okay. And for the first time ever, they decided to say no. Like, I'm not spouting. Hey, everyone. You've been listening to a preview of this Patreon exclusive episode. If you'd like to hear the full episode, as well as a huge back catalog of other Patreon exclusive material, head on over to patreon.com/CantinaCast and sign up for the We Are All the Republic tier at just $2 a month. That'll get you all of the audio episodes, or if video is your thing, please consider the This Is the Way tier at just $5 a month. There's also 2 higher tiers in Now Part of the Tribe and Delusions of Grandeur, which gets you a shout out at the start of every show, your name in the credits at the end, and more. Thank you so much to all of our Patreon members and all of our supporters, and may the Force be with you always.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff. But I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what. So that's your disclaimer.